Game one of the finals, Tim Duncan looking for a 5th NBA championship ring. LeBron James and the Heat going for a three-peat. And the Spurs on their home floor with home court advantage in this series. They had won their last 7 home postseason games by 17 or more. Dwayne Wade with a steal. It's ahead to LeBron James, who will throw it down. He had 13 at the half. Here's Wade into the paint. Beautiful move to get past Tim Duncan. And Manu Ginobili, who had such a tough finals and really tough postseason last year in 2013 when he shot under 40%, came out firing and good. In transition, he'll knock down the three. And then on the rebound, it's a pull-up three. He knocked down his first 3 threes of the game. 9 points after 1. How about the defense on LeBron? We saw him sagging off last year. What did you think of their approach this time?
I thought the way they played James this time, they got up, they were aggressive, they made him a driver, and they gave him different looks. Sometimes they dropped off of him. Sometimes they would pressure him. So they had him thinking the whole game.
Thiago Splitter with the block there. Second quarter. Heat in transition. Wade spinning. Looked great early on, C-Web.
Isaiah called it. He says, this is the guy, the shark lurking in the water. And, of course, we saw that LeBron couldn't stay healthy the whole game. But if you're a Heat fan, you have to love the activity of D-Wade, especially attacking the basket.
And that was part of an 8-0 Miami run. Here come the Spurs. Ginobili with the steal ahead to Tony Parker. The floater falls. San Antonio up by 2. And then it's Boris Diaw to Tim Duncan.
And Pop talked about how smart a player Diaw was, and he didn't stuff the stat sheet tonight, but he definitely disrupted the whole game.
And at that point, the Heat becoming a factor here in the building for the guys on the floor, for the fans in the stands as well, with the air conditioning malfunctioning due to a power outage here in the area. Chris Bosh aggressive to the rim.
Chris Bosh played well. He attacked Duncan there, and I like what you said about Diaw here on this play. He's another point guard. Played point guard early in his career in Atlanta. Another playmaker, very unselfish. Did a lot of things tonight that don't show up in the stat sheet, but certainly helped the Spurs win.
Spurs shot 50% in that first half and led it by 4. Third quarter, Wade steps back, drops the three. He's been testing out his three-point range late in the playoffs. It's another 8-0 run for Miami. James gets the rebound. Really felt like he was feeling it right there. That was a quick three.
And at this point in time in the game, in the third quarter, I thought Miami had a really nice rhythm. They were playing offensive, good basketball. They were confident. They were moving the basketball around. And defensively, they were getting deflection and steals. I thought this was the point in time where they really were getting ready to take control of the game.
Saw Rashard Lewis, who started this game, score again. That was 10 points for him. You see James and Bosh with the ice bags on.
Watch out.
Tony Parker turns it up. Ray Allen all the way in. And a big dunk.
The Heat helped out Ray Allen. Real good. With the 90-degree heat here in San Antonio.
He wants it that hot every game.
It gave him a little extra being gay on the knees.
Exactly.
And turnovers a continual problem for the Spurs. They had 9 in the third quarter. James knocks down the 3. Miami up by 6. Fourth quarter. James with the steal. Heat in transition. Bosh with the 3 and 1 by Tim Duncan. And at that point, you had to feel like this was the Heat's game to lose.
You thought the game was slipping away for the Spurs, but of course the Spurs are resilient. They had a lot of grit. They continue to fight, and that man started cramping up, LeBron James.
James only played 5 minutes in the fourth quarter as the cramping issues start to take their toll.
And this is where the problem is going to be late in the game, as you see Timmy Duncan. Of course, him getting the layup inside opens it up for Green right there. But late in the game, they're going to have to find a way to stop Tim Duncan because he was getting rebounds late in the game. He was scoring inside late in the game because of the defensive matchups, mismatches inside.
Kawhi Leonard comes alive in the fourth quarter. Parker knocks down the 3 as well. He finished with 19 points and 8 assists, and not a thing LeBron James could do about it. The final 3 minutes, 59 seconds of the game. When he was on the bench dealing with those cramping issues, James finished with 25 points, 6 boards, and 3 assists, but a non-factor the final 4 minutes of the game. San Antonio takes game 1. Here's Ray Allen from the locker room afterward.
Great feeling. At the same time, it was tough because you had to, our bodies were real warm and you're sweating and you're going through, this is the finals, so you feel you feel this atmosphere. You want to be a part of this atmosphere, and you do whatever you can. But at the same time, it did fatigue us a lot faster than we would have been otherwise. So.
Did you feel things kind of turned around when LeBron was a tight game when he finally went out with cramps there?
Yeah, it was a 2-point game, but even when he went out, that was a turning point. But still mistakes made by us. We left our shooters open. It's like we let go of the rope because we were right there.
So just a mental letdown when you say let go of the rope. You see your best player having so much trouble and going out of the game.
Yeah, we turned the ball over on offense. We just, that stretch of the game, it's, somewhere around 4 minutes to go in the game, and we didn't execute, on both ends of the floor, and, that was the difference.
You're kind of the team expert on what you put into your body and how that affects you out on the court in difficult situations. Do you have any recommendations for dealing with this? Because this has plagued LeBron several times now.
Well, I mean, obviously it starts the day before coming into the game, just refueling and resting. But, when you're out there, you got to get that salt back into your body because we're dispensing so much of it. And, for him, we got to just find a way to keep getting, Gatorade into him while he's on the bench and, making sure he stays hydrated.
Brady's your mindset.
Time for your stat of the night, presented by Corona Extra, and it's the numbers when LeBron left the game in the fourth quarter. The final 7 minutes, 31 seconds. He did reappear for that one bucket, but it was 26-9 in favor of San Antonio down the stretch, including 6 of 6 from the great beyond, and maybe as important as any number on that page, just a single turnover because they had been handing out possessions like candy for most of this game.
Yeah, they have, but, I really, to go back to Ray Allen, I just really, I know we in the media we should talk about the heat in the building. But I love the fact how Spoelstra is saying, listen, that's not a factor. We have to keep playing. I like how the Spurs, because at the end of the day, they both went through it. But, that just tells you something. We always call the best player the head of the snake. Usually when the head of the snake goes out, a little bit of leadership goes with that. And we take so much away from LeBron. If Isaiah wasn't playing, if Magic wasn't playing, how do you guys get guys in the role? And Dwayne Wade is great and can do that. But just the leadership ability of LeBron, it just shows you that when he's out, how tough it is. But I expect I expect a heck of a LeBron on this next game because he's going to hear about it from a lot of people that have never had cramps before and then act like, cramp. Nobody's had a cramp. I'm talking about in the game where you can't move anymore. I mean, I've never had a cramp where I couldn't move in the game before, so this time, and I could just see the critics, Zeke, coming out ready to pile up.
You had the Charlie horse, or you had the one in the quads and the calf. I mean, those things, you can't run through them.
Right.
You can't. There's nothing you can really do but lay there and hope that it goes away.
Well, the conditions were the same for both teams. The difference at the end is that the conditions affected Miami's best player and the best player in the world more than anybody else.
It really did. I mean, when you watch those highlights there at the end of the game and San Antonio executing and finding the shooters, the beauty of Miami, particularly on the defensive end, they don't rebound the ball well. So they swarm. Their athleticism, their activity, and they just look tired. They look like defeated. Obviously the conditions might have played a role, LeBron not being there, maybe a combination of both. But, they weren't themselves down the stretch defensively, and that's what was surprising the most. Obviously, LeBron, like I said, is a leader, but other guys can play defense and be in the right spots, follow the assignments, and they just looked mentally and physically fatigued. And so that's uncharacteristic of a Miami team, particularly down the stretch on this stage in the finals. And so San Antonio looked pretty sharp. They looked like they were moving good, the ball movement. They had energy down the stretch, and that was the difference at the end of the day.
I'm fatigued. Just sitting in the building watching this game. I'm sort of spent from the whole thing. Lots more to come here from San Antonio, where the Spurs take Game 1 tonight.